Hello, welcome back again. This is our Thursday venue, so a slightly different setup, slightly more booming echo, but I'm sure it will be good enough for you to understand what I'm saying. But I just wanted to carry on with our series on cane. So we've been looking at Vigny cane, and so far we've looked at a very basic hand strike and a cover, and we've looked at this idea that there's one moulinet that allows me to work off 3 different parries and still use that moulinet to strike every time, which makes the basic system very easy. What I want to look at today is the concept of the flip, which is an important part of the system. So to give you an idea of what I mean, if I'm going to do my initial attack against my opponent here, and they parry, my next attack round has to go a long way around in order to hit my opponent's elbow. This can be quite wrong, so I'm just going to get you to move this way so you're actually in shot. Sorry, it's my fault for not positioning you to start with. So from here, if I attack around here, I've got a long way to go around to make that second strike. So instead, what I'm going to do is start using, instead of striking as you would do with the sword, so the true edge would be in line with the knuckles and I need to hit that way. This isn't a sword. It is equally deadly no matter which part of the cane I hit it with. It has an infinite number of sharp edges to hit with. So I don't have to use this very traditional sword strike. So instead, what I'm going to do is just rotate around my wrist and deliver with what would be the flat of the blade into the temple of my opponent. So rather than striking through, I'm just going to turn the cane and deliver that hit in here. Yeah? And if my opponent blocks that, what I now have is the opportunity just to pivot directly around that wrist and bring that strike in much faster. So I can move in, go boom, boom, straight in for that second one. Now, in order, as I said, this isn't going to be particularly strong, it's not a powerful attack, but there's a couple of things that are worth pointing out. One, I'm striking him right in the side of the temple there. Yeah, and as I said in I think the very first video, accuracy is important. I need to be landing my shots. Anything that hits you there, moving at speed, is going to do some nasty damage. The other thing I'm going to do is, as I bring this around, my hip moves across my body as well. So I'll step out of range so I don't hit. So I come round, that's as far as my arm goes. Yeah, the rest of that movement is my hip, which means that I'm not striking with my arm, I'm striking with my hip and my legs. And likewise, when I come back, my hip throws to the other side. Because if I don't, my arm binds up around here, and that extra motion is provided by my hip. So it's actually throwing my hip into both of those strikes. I can get quite a lot of power, and they're quite quick. So rather than using horizontal strikes, we use these, what we call tick-tocks, because they look like a clock, tick-tock, one side to the other, so tick-tock. And of course, however, this does mean if my opponent is aware of his flank guard and his body guard, he can just window screen wiper back and forth as I tick-tock. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, which is very, very exciting and all that. So that gives us a different kind of strike. So not only do I have my moulinet down here, I've got my sideways strikes if I want to use them. But to make this more interesting, the time I'm really going to use these and bring them out is after I've parried. So if Andrew comes at me with a standard shot and I block with my body block across here, normally when we were looking at last time, I was lifting over and delivering kind of a true edge strike into my opponent's head, shoulder, whatever. I'm thinking sword, but yeah, it should be head with a cane rather than shoulder. So from here, coming over with a true strike. What I can do now is, once I've made this strike, is just rotate from the wrist and bring that straight down on top of my opponent's head. Much quicker, but not as powerful. So I now have an option: slow and powerful, quick, not powerful. But I can make that call at any point I want, depending on the circumstances. So if that comes in, boom, straight over the top into that strike. So rather than taking the parry and having to come around with the strike, I just flip straight over the top. So this flip is actually really useful. And I can do it from pretty much all of the guards. So if he comes to the elbow, I use my flank guard across this side. Yeah? Now, if I do my flip now, again, I'm miles out. But what I'm going to do is do that as I turn my body, and that's going to land really nicely on top of his knuckles. Yeah? And that's the end of the fight. pretty much, because as soon as he drops that, my next move is going to be a really big uppercut underneath his chin. So attack comes in from my elbow, drop across, and as I turn my hip back, that flip's going to find the hand here. Also, if I get a headshot coming in, I can come up here. We looked at this strike here, but also from this position, I'm actually set straight to go into my tick-tock situation there. So these flips, which is literally just flipping the hand over, because that's all I'm doing, is turning my hand from one position upside down. And these flips open up a lot of variation, both in how we attack and also how we can respond to parries. So we've now got options. So an opponent attacks, I can come over here and make a nice quick attack. Maybe my opponent coming into attack here, I can decide that this wants to be a stronger attack, come right across and actually make this a game finisher. So that's how we use these flips. Very important part of the system, and hopefully you can see how that's going to build into more stuff as we go forward. So hopefully that makes sense with little flips, and we're going to pick up next week with something very different. We're going to be looking at flips. No, that was flips. Flicks. Flicks and flips. We're going to be looking at flicks next week, which start to move us into the more interesting work that there is with Kane. So I will see you then.